Hi everyone, Silly Chicken here, and welcome back to my Minecraft survival guide. In today's video, I'm going to share with you my best tips and tricks for planting your first gardens and for collecting your very first animals. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is flatten out the area where you want to put your gardens and your pins. It will make it so much easier. So I'm going to start by removing the trees. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take my shovel and level the ground as best I can and cover up any holes that are there. Mobs and stuff can hop in your pins, so having a flat area is best. So I'm taking the extra dirt and building out my garden, which is on the river. Now I'm cutting over 4 blocks, and you can count over 4 more for another water source. Water can only affect 4 blocks away from it for your garden. If you go past that, your garden will turn back into dirt. So here I am counting over 4 and then 4 again, and we'll be putting some more water over there. And another thing that I like to do in my garden beds is I like to put a half block in the top of the water. This still will count for a water source, but when you hoe your garden or you harvest your garden, you will not fall in the hole. And you will be able to put a light source there, and this allows you to have lights 8 blocks apart, which is perfect for keeping mobs out of your garden. So the next thing we're going to want to do is we need to make our fence now that we've got a nice flattened out area. So to do that, we take a log, turn it into planks, and we place planks on both sides like this, some sticks in the middle, and we've got ourselves some fence. And I like my pins fairly large. This allows me to just move around in them, get a lot of different livestock, and I like it a lot better than smaller pins, especially if you have horses. Horses need a little bit of room for you to just ride them and jump over a fence, so I always make my horse pins a little bit bigger, but this is for cattle and sheep. I also don't like to combine my cattle and sheep because you kill your cattle for leather, you unalive them, and the sheep usually you use for wool. So if you're swinging at a cow and you kill your sheep, it's not exactly helpful. So here I'm going to split my 2 pins and about equal size. So I want 2 different gates to be able to come in and out of. Now the best way to get in your pin is to use a block, and the best way to find your gate is to use a different kind of wood. I found one of the very first things I struggled with was finding my gates. I know it sounds really stupid. When you have them all the same color and you come running, it can be really tricky to just run right to your gate if you don't make it a different color. So either lighter or darker, but I suggest you make a gate, and that's how you make it. Sticks on the side, planks in the middle, and now you can easily see where your gate is at. You won't miss it. Here is the best way to get in, is a block to get your animals in, and you want to use that. If your animals try to come through the gate, they will crowd. Even a double gate will help if you want to use a gate. So now I'm getting a cow, and to get my cow, you use a piece of wheat, and the cow will pathfind right up over the block, but it can't get back out. Switch what you have in your hand with something the cow doesn't like fish, for instance, and then you can walk out without the cow following you out. So now we're going to work at getting the other animals. I want to get some sheep, but guess what? They are across the river. What do you do when the animal that you want to get is across water or far away? I use boats. You can use lead ropes, but I know a lot of you guys won't have lead ropes, so I'll show you some different methods. Here I'm using a boat. Now, when you put something in a boat, remember they can hold 2 things. So it's best to jump in right away, or you're going to have 2 sheep in there and you can't fit. So I row across the land, I'm rowing across the water, and the sheep can also follow you up to the pen. So don't be afraid to lead it from here with wheat. So what you want to do to break the boat, you hit in the side in the middle of the boat, and you won't kill your whatever's in the boat. This is especially helpful if you've got villagers you're moving or something that's very precious to you. You can, if you move it from, break the boat from the side, you will not hurt what's in it. Once you get your sheep in here, I'm going to go ahead and breed them. And to do that, you right click on each sheep. And the baby will be a mixture, usually of the two. Even with horses, you can get random. Don't forget to light your pens. If you don't light your pens, you will get mobs spawning in them. Now here I have a little pig I also found on the other side. What do you do when you have something in a boat and you want to get it up on land? I don't have any carrots for this pig or potatoes, so I can't lead it like I did with the wheat. So what I do is I right click on the boat and put a lead rope on it, and then I go backwards while jumping slowly. But you need to use shift and crouch, and whatever's in the boat will come to you really fast without snapping your lead rope. So what you're going to do is shift and go into like a crouching position and then jump slowly backwards. And this will bring it up one block. This is so handy for like on the nether roof when you need something to go through a portal. This method has saved me I don't know how many times. So now once you get it up on the surface that you want it on, it pulls really easy. You can just run along. Just make sure you don't pull it into a solid block. Whatever's in your boat, if you pull it into a solid block, it will suffocate and die. So you do have to be careful of that. Once you get it to where you want to go, you're going to just right click again to take the lead rope off. Like that, and pick your lead rope up. So now we've got some chickens. Chickens are a little different. We all know chickens are strange, right? So the chickens the way I like to do my chickens is I like to have them in a long, narrow pen that I can get to both sides of, one block wide in the middle. And the reason I do that, chickens are extremely good at escaping. If you try to get out of their pen, they almost always escape. So my favorite way to do this is to do one block wide. I actually changed this later on to be able to walk easier down the side by the cows, because you do need to walk both sides to pick up the eggs. So here's my pen, and I end up putting a gate at the end of it. And like I said, I ended up actually making it over one block more where I could walk down the other side as well. So you get some seeds, you come in here, and your chickens will also just pathfind right in over the block. And then you right click on each chicken to get you a little baby chicken. And it's that easy. And boy, once you start raising wheat, will you have plenty of seeds. So I leave them in this one block wide pen, but I will say this, you do have to be careful. Any animals that attack chickens can easily reach them. So if you have ocelots or you have foxes can easily, they can't get away from the fox, and you will lose your chickens. And don't forget to remove the solid blocks that you use to pathfind to get them in there, because other mobs can enter your pen. You come out and find out you have all kinds of interesting things in your pens. So I do suggest remove the blocks when you're done. If you want to put more in later on, just put a block down and put them in. So now we're going to focus on the garden. There's a few things I want to talk about. One is your tilled soil. If you wanted to go back to regular soil, all you have to do is really just jump on it, which is handy but also can be detrimental if you are used to running and jumping fast. Don't run through your garden because you will turn it back to regular dirt and then you'll have to hoe it all over again. You can speed run, but just don't jump. So that's another thing that you might want to pay attention to when you're working on your garden. Here's the next thing that we want to plant early game, and it's sugarcane. The more the better, because sugarcane is used to make paper, and you need the paper to make bookshelves for villagers, and for your enchanting table, you're going to need bookcases, and you're going to need books to enchant. So you will need quite a bit of paper. Growing wheat and sugarcane are two very vital early game crops that you want to get started. So what I do is I just keep expanding the garden. My end goal will be villagers, and I will raise mostly melons and pumpkins. Carrots and potatoes are also good to sell to them to get emeralds, but I will raise mostly pumpkins and melons in the end. I want a pretty good size garden space. Once you get a villager that sells books, you don't really need the massive amount of cows in sugarcane. Your sugarcane will more be used for rockets for your elytra. So here's how I like to grow my sugarcane. It has to be planted right beside a water block. So I will plant it all the way down and then do a half block again, just like we did in the garden. We still have a water source, but now I can run down along beside it, break my sugarcane, and I can also not have it float off in the water away from me. I can pick it up really easy. This gives me a second row here that I can also do, which I like. And then the garden can still be expanded 3 more away from the cobblestone that I've placed down to further advance my garden. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, guys. I would love to hear any of your tips and tricks early game for gardens. What do you do? What's your preferred method? I think one of the fastest methods of early game really is a village, just going to a village because a lot of it's already there. But I'm trying to do it in a way where if you didn't find a village, or maybe you didn't want to be near a village, maybe the villagers were annoying, I don't know. So let me know what your preferred game method is when you start a game. Do you go to a village or do you prefer to start away from a village? Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye!